Welcome to Willow Healing Matters, the podcast. We are so excited to have you joining us on this journey where we explore different ways to empower your soul, whether it's healing in your kitchen or all the way up in the corporate world. Come with us as we look into different ways to heal your mind, body, and soul.
Are you looking for an afternoon boost to support you until the children go to bed or to get through that evening meeting? Why not reach for a cup of ceremonial cacao? It will boost your energy, reduce your inflammation, and also allow you to go to sleep at a decent hour. For more information on how to grab your ceremonial cacao, check out the link in the show notes for 10% off.
Hey everyone, it's Catherine Crestani with another episode of Willow Healing Matters, and today I am joined by the lovely Natalie NatNat Bedard. She's the founder of LiftOneSelf and the host of LiftOneSelf podcast. She guides people through the practice of emotional sobriety, helping them regulate their nervous systems, process trauma, and return home to themselves with compassion. Through lived experience, somatic tools, and raw honesty, Natalie holds space for people to move beyond survival mode and reconnect with their untamed power. A big welcome to the show, NatNat.
Thank you so much, Catherine. Every time somebody says my intro, I'm like, always like, who are they talking about? And then I'm like, oh, yeah, that's me. I look forward to this conversation before we started recording. Our personalities are very much the same. So it's unfiltered, and I see a deep dive and really just a nice, raw conversation that can be had, which can be challenging sometimes with a lot of people to find that safety and find that connection where we're in the same frequency and that our information can grow with each other, not battle against each other and stuff like that. So I'm looking forward to this.
I got goosebumps when you said that. That's such a beautiful way to frame it, because often we do meet people and sometimes our frequency doesn't gel with their frequency. And then that can lead to a whole feeling of like, I don't feel safe in this moment. I feel judged. I feel, I don't feel held. And it makes it difficult to be vulnerable and share your story from that deeper level.
Yeah. And that's, the work that I present to people, that you can start acknowledging that. Many people don't even know how to acknowledge that they're feeling unsafe or that there's something going on internally. It's more easier to blame externally that the other person is causing something, where, yes, that's information, yet there's no action that you can take with that. It's only action from within. The only thing that you can try to manage, because we can barely control a lot of the things that we do, you can try to manage it, is being able to be transparent and honest with yourself rather than trying to protect the image or the mask that you've been told to hold up in the world. So once you can see that, oh, like there's something offset, it's like, okay, sitting back in your seat of within your body to regulate yourself rather than trying to control the other individual or try to figure them out. It's okay, stay in your own presence, in your own energy, which can be really challenging if you don't have the tools that have been developed. Because one thing I want to demystify is that a lot of people think that they have to construct things, and it's not. It's about development. These things are already innate in you, yet you have to have the willingness to develop them. It's like a skill. Some people are born with a certain skill and it just comes naturally for them. Other people have to work at it. It doesn't mean that everybody doesn't have the same thing. It's just some, it flows very naturally for them. Other people have to put in the effort and the work for it. So our inner world, this is something that we have to understand what our biology is and then create the tools to support that. Where everybody's like, oh, well, what's this or what's, and with my clients, I'm always ask them, okay, well, I'll show you a general thing, yet it's for you to take that and then create what is it that you need in your everyday moments, in your everyday self-soothing, in your everyday reactions and responses, and having to do the mundane stuff in the world that we're like, I don't want to do the dishes today. I don't want to wash the laundry. I don't want to drive to work. All these mundane, repetitive things that we're just, the brain doesn't really like much because it's too predictable, it's automated. Yet it's being able to regulate so that you can still find beauty and you can still have a sense of openness with that. So, safety is the biggest crux in the work that I do, to allow people to start having a verbiage and language surrounding that for themselves.
Yeah, and I feel sometimes people do use safety as a crux because you have to challenge yourself to allow yourself to expand and grow and step outside your comfort zone. Otherwise, you're always just going to stay in the same loop and the same routine. It's the change that feels unsafe that actually allows us to grow and expand.
And to explain that in simple terms, the mind wants to be able to predict. That's what control is. If it's not able to predict something, then we know how our mind spirals out and we start thinking 10,000 steps ahead to try to be able to predict what that safety is or what the situation is. Change requires you to go into the unknown, to surrender the parts of our defense mechanisms that want to predict, and to allow curiosity to be unleashed, to go into this unknown. And that means allowing yourself to be messy, to be untethered, to allow yourself to fall apart in certain aspects, to be able to build back in. It's like the breath, it opens up, it closes back. So it's really understanding when you're facing these grits of change, or the brain is getting angry about something, like say you're learning something and you're noticing like the brain is just shutting down. It's giving yourself the space of acknowledging that, and then meeting yourself of, okay, yeah, this is really challenging because I'm not able to predict, and it's asking more resources out of me. Yet I know the world wants this toughness, or just, push through it, plow through it. And yes, you have to go through it. Yet if you keep using fear and anger to get yourself to that other side, you're just going to end back into the same position, because you didn't allow that curiosity and softness to allow you to walk through and also connect with your biology. Ask your biology what it needs. Sometimes, when you're in a grit, we're taught to finish everything before you can get a reward. Whereas we're starting to learn now, wait, do 5 minutes of work, 5 minutes off, 5 minutes of work, 5 minutes off, so that you can get it done in a way, not just try to get everything all done and then get your reward. It's being able to give those breaks and understand what works for your biology and what works with your focus. Like everybody wants to do the 5 a.m. club, and I get that. My body wakes up, it loves it, I'm okay with it. Some people are nocturnal. They do great at nighttime. And for them to try to fit into a 5 a.m. club and be like, oh, and it's not working for them, you're having them go against what their biology needs and not be a kind of mad scientist for themselves and think that there's something wrong with them because they should be up at 5 a.m. and through the whole day, and they should be sleeping at night when they're more productive at nighttime.
Yeah, and I feel this is such a interesting contrast because I was doing the 5 a.m. I was getting up at 5 a.m. and then my body just went, actually, we just want to sleep in and wake up in our own rhythm for a bit. So I went back to just waking up when my body was meant to wake up, unless I had to get up for a podcast or something like that. Then I put my alarm on. And I went through these few months, and my husband's like, why'd you stop getting up at 5 a.m.? I said, my body just needed to recalibrate and actually needed a moment. Whereas now, like this morning, I got up at 2:45 this morning because I had a commitment, but it felt okay because I haven't been pushing, and really just trying to listen and tune in, but also giving myself permission to nap if I need to nap as well. And I find there's this big push. It's like with diets, it's with all these sorts of things that we try and fit ourselves into a box of what everyone else is prescribing, rather than what you touched upon so beautifully, listening to our own body's innate wisdom and our inner authority and what our body needs and what our body wants. Sometimes you don't want to eat a meal, and that's okay. And sometimes you do. Sometimes you want to get up at 5 a.m. and do that for a while, and then your body doesn't want to do that anymore. And sometimes you do want to work at night. And I find if I'm in an inspirational flow, I will just go. Like, I'm like, no, I'm happy to keep working. Like, I've got all these things I want to get out. And then I'll finish and I'll be like, okay, I'm going to have a break from the computer for 2 days because I need to. This is, I feel the shift that's happening across everybody is that we have to step out of that hustle and push, push, push culture and actually start to listen to what our body needs and what our nervous system's craving.
And a lot of people don't realize they've been in survival mode their whole life, so that when they start listening, the rest and them being like bed rotting and everything else will be a long period of time, because there's so much to allow to reconstruct, recalibrate, and for the body to feel a safety in rest. Because a lot of times when you're in survival, rest doesn't feel good. Like, rest feels very volatile and it feels like it's very unsafe. So learning of, okay, and unfortunately, we say this and then you can go to the other aspect of it. Some people might be hearing, oh, you see, I should be bed rotting. And it's like, well, not to the extreme. Like, we cannot just listen to what our minds are saying. There has to be some discipline of being able to discern and understanding, of being curious, of like, if I'm sitting all day watching Netflix, it's like, okay, well, maybe my body need a rest. But if I'm going on day 3 and day 4, what is going on internally that my nervous system feels like it has to be in a frozen state? And it doesn't feel safe to climb back up? And what are the little things that I can expose myself to, that even though I don't, my body's like, no, no, just stay in this mode, that I can expose it to different little things. So this is where you have to understand your own biology. You have to understand your own BS. We BS ourselves all the time to stay in the predictable parts. We do. And that's what your protective mechanism is made for. And so it's like, okay, how do I know when I'm BSing myself, and how do I know when I need rest? And only you can really answer that for yourself. And that's what I give a space for people to start giving themselves permission. A lot of my clients will tell me what to do. And I'm like, well, I'll do that at the beginning a little bit. Yet there's going to be a lot of times where I'm going to like, what do you want to do? And listen to what that is and learn from it. Like, if you do Netflix for a few days and then all of a sudden you're super productive for 2 other days, that works for you. If you're doing Netflix for 3 days and you're not doing anything else afterwards, then you're getting some information like, this isn't something that I need to do. It's not good for myself. So it's really being that mad scientist for yourself to understand, what is it that will make me feel fulfilled, that will have me feeling a state of feeling joy, of having a stability in a very unstable world that we're in, that it's always drawing us to be unstable, yet really honoring your body in a way of not evilizing it, yet also not being passive with it. It's like really learning that really healthy relationship with it.
Yeah, and that's such a beautiful reminder because so often we go in, even when we're asking for support, we go in with expectations of what we want it to look like, right? And then it's like, actually, no, that's not what my body or I need in that moment. And a really skilled practitioner, I remember years ago, even as a speech pathologist, I had this client walk in, and my therapist, they actually booked in with the wrong therapist. They wanted me and they ended up booking in with a different one. Our names are very similar, so I understand how it happened. Anyway, and they go, no, 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 we want Catherine, we want Catherine. Anyway, so they came in and the mum just sat down and started showing me like all the things that the child could do, like just a testing thing. I didn't say anything. There was no judgment or anything. And then I just started doing what I normally do and going to the child's world and pulling him out and getting interactions. And then the mum could see the contrast in the reactions I got and the interactions that we were having. I didn't say anything. I just showed her a different way. And I ended up seeing him for years. But the other therapist went, what did you do? What did you say to her to get her to do it a different way? I said, I didn't. I just showed her. And she goes, you didn't say anything? I said, no, I didn't say anything. I just showed her how it could be different. And sometimes our body doesn't know how it can be different until, like you said, you're a mad scientist and you explore how it can be different.
Because our minds want to be right. And expectations, oh, that parenting role, we have so many expectations of what our children need to be, and we don't even know how to give a language that it's our fear being projected on there. Are not good enough, our fear of them going, they're going to be inadequate, or trying to keep them safe in a world that we don't know how to predict, rather than meeting the child exactly where they are and letting them develop. But expectations is it's a very insidious thing that many parents drink the Kool-Aid, myself included. And I always have to break the wall and see, wait a minute, you're placing your fears on them, rather than seeing where they are and supporting them there, rather than having them think that they need to be at this part when they're only here, where it's like, no, 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 like, stop trying to draw them way further than where they are and meet them there, so that they can develop and have a sense of fulfillment, not feel like there's a sense of lack.
That is such a beautiful reminder, because so often our mum guilt kicks in, right? And it's like, oh, but we should be doing this and we should be doing this. And little Johnny's mum's doing this. Why am I doing this? How do they have time to do this? When in the end, it's like, actually, no, what's the dynamic and the interactions that my child needs to allow them to thrive?
Comparison is such an evil trap that we get into. Unfortunately, it's even heightened now with social media. And a lot of times we don't feel like we're adequate enough, especially if we're not meeting the checks of, my child got this gold star, or got this award, or got this part, or got that, and da 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 da, and they're high achieving. And so then you feel very inferior, and then you want to project that on your child, that you should be better, not acknowledging that's your stuff. It has nothing to do with your child. Yet to be able to have that honesty with yourself, that takes a lot of excavation with the nervous system. It's very easy intellectually to say this. It's not about intellectual, because intellectual doesn't cause change. It's in the being, it's in the actions, it's in the lived experience. So when you can catch yourself projecting certain things and seeing your own expectations, seeing how this energy is shifting your perception, that's where the connection, and that's where you see the change within yourself. And then that starts to flourish within your child too, that you let go of the grips. They may not change the certain actions that they are doing, yet the dynamic of how you show up in that situation has changed.
And it does. It flips. And kids are so sensitive to our energy and our emotions. Often we're still learning to master our emotions. Then we're trying to teach our children how to master their emotions. And then it goes back to, like you mentioned earlier, mastering the mundane. It's like, how do I bring joy to washing the dishes? How do I bring joy to, having to pick up everything that's been left on the floor again? How do I bring joy to these tasks that I don't really want to be doing, but how can I shift my perspective and my energy around them, so that there is still a chance for everyone to come out the other side? Because, if you don't wash your clothes, you're not going to have anything to wear. You can't keep buying clothes. So
some people do, though. Yeah, it's exactly that. And I want to also, not everything's going to be joyful. Like, it's just being able to acknowledge, like, this is something I don't want to do, and meeting that part. Okay, I get it. I'm going to validate that you don't want to do this, yet also bring up the responsibility of, why are we doing it though? Why is it needed? And then you can feel out, like, a prime example sometimes with parents, they may have been the older child that was given all kinds of tasks to do, and they weren't able to be a child. So then when they're having toddlers and they're having to do the dishes and everything, it reminds them of being that child, that the adult wasn't doing everything. They were doing everything for the adult. So they don't feel like they have a break. Yet they're not seeing now that they're no longer that child. They are the adult, and their little children are dependent on them. Yet being able to have a conversation with that and acknowledging it, that's what helps to relieve some of that pressure that goes on inside, that rage, that anger, that frustration. And does it mean like you're going to be like Mary Poppins and singing and washing your dishes? Well, maybe if you're microdosing all the time, then possibly. Yet if you're raw dogging it sober, then it's like, okay, today I'm just getting through with having to do the dishes and ensuring that I don't bark at anybody, because this is a responsibility that I see that needs to get done. Other people may not see it the same way because they don't want to, but me trying to drag them into it isn't going to help the situation neither.
Yeah. And it's funny because when I want to feel like Mary Poppins, I do put music on and I dance around the kitchen, and that just, especially if it's a task and your energy's low, especially I know for me, if my energy's really low, if I'm really finding it hard to go do like cook dinner, cooking's not my thing. I happily bake, but cooking, I struggle. Some days I'm inspired, when you're like, oh, I know exactly what I want. I'm going to go make that. Yeah. But other days I'm like, oh my goodness, what am I going to cook for my fussy child and my husband and me? And I don't want to even eat, but I'm going to cook something. I will put music on to shift the energy and shift the mood, because that's what I know works for me. But someone else, you might, want to go have a quick read of a book and go, oh, okay, I feel inspired now, or go, whatever it is that helps you shift out of that. But also having the compassion for yourself when you are really tired, because that's when those thoughts spiral. Like you were saying, when you're doing the dishes and you're trying to pull someone else in because they haven't seen it. My brain goes, why didn't my husband just put this in the dishwasher? Why can't my son just take this to the sink? Whereas if I'm not in that mindset, it's like, oh, typical little one. Like he does need reminders, and he will do it if you remind him. But, it's just when you're on that extra edge and your nervous system's at that heightened thing that it makes it harder to just accept that and not pull people into the drama happening in your fatigued mind, if you will.
And it's easy. And then if you even go one step further, then you can see some of the things that you're criticizing somebody else, you do also. You just don't catch it so easily. And then when you see it, you're like, maybe I'm a little irritated with myself more than somebody else because I'm wanting to be in this kind of perfection. And to come back, that is one of the tools that I instill in my clients is music. Music has a way to shift our energy. It's a frequency, it's a vibration. And movement helps us regulate our nervous system in different ways. So, dancing and music is the greatest way to shift your mental state. So, that's one thing that if you're feeling a little funky or put some high elevated song that and just be with it, even if you only move for a second, but at least it's a 1 second and it's 1% different, so that there's a bit of a shift in everything else, so that that frequency can bring you into a different mental state. But music it's so undervalued and underrated of how potent it is to help us in our movements of the everyday, especially with the mundane.
Yes. And, sometimes it can be, you're dancing around the kitchen, everyone's looking at you, but who cares? Like, who cares?
I'm dancing in the grocery store.
Yeah. Even when I used to, I sing in the grocery store and then people do stare. I'm like, whatever. But when I used to go to work and it'd be that last stretch where I'm nearly there because I didn't really want to go. And then I'd be in bumper to bumper traffic as well. I just find a song and I just put on like high beat music songs that I could belt out. And I'm like dancing in the car. And by the time I got to work, I was in a completely different state because it shifted me out of that. And I gave my friend a magnet once and it said, dance like no one's watching because they're all looking at their phones anyway. Yeah. And in the end, it doesn't matter. It's like, have fun. Find a way to have fun and bring some childlike energy into your day, because that is where you can really shift things. And like you said, don't underestimate music. Do something fun, and we put music on and dance around the kitchen. Why not?
Exactly. Would you join me in a mindful moment so I can just show yourself and the listeners a tool that I use with my clients that is accessible to everyone, that they can, create that shift for themselves for a moment?
Absolutely. Let's do it.
Okay. So I'll ask you to get comfortable in your seating. And if it's safe to do so, you're going to gently close your eyes or soften your gaze. And you're going to just breathe in and out through your nose. If that's too challenging for you, then breathe in through your nose and exhale out of your mouth. And you're going to bring your awareness to watching your breath go in and out. You're not going to try and control your breath. You're just going to be aware of its rhythm. allowing it to guide you into your body. Surrender the need to control. Release the need to resist and just be. You're safe to feel. You're safe to let go. Now, some thoughts or memories may have popped up, and that's okay. Gently bring your awareness back to your breath, creating space between the awareness and the thoughts, and dropping deeper into your body, into being, into now. Again, more thoughts may have popped up. Gently bring your awareness back to your breath, beginning again, creating even more space between the awareness and the thoughts, and completely surrendering into being in the moment, giving yourself permission to release and just be. Now taking a deep breath in through your nose and a gentle exhale out of your mouth. Another deep breath in through your nose and let it all go through your mouth. One more deep breath in and let it all go. Now at your own time and at your own pace, you're going to gently open your eyes while staying with your breath. So this is what I call my mindful moments. And what we just did is a type of Vipassana meditation. So breathing and also allowing yourself to be with that breath, which is always in the moment. And the mind doesn't always like it. So some people may notice they got restless or certain body parts went or their mind was starting to race in thoughts. And that's all part of meditation. It's doing the work of, okay, bringing the awareness back to the breath and helping to regulate that nervous system out of that force field of trying to control and predict everything. That can still run, but it's in the background. It's not in the front focus of your mind and thinking that you have to listen to that all the time. So hopefully some people got to be in a moment of what that being felt like so that they know what's possible for themselves.
And the breath is such an underestimated tool, and it can be, you have it with you all the time, and just breathe. And even if someone's like, we think about when people are having to have a panic attack, the first thing they get you to do is breathe. You breathe into the bag. It's the classic movie scene, but also you just breathe. And the air is such a beautiful way to bring you back into the space, because someone said to me a few weeks ago, God doesn't decide if you're a good or bad person by determining if you can breathe or not in the morning. You just have permission to breathe all the time.
Beautiful. It's a beautiful way. And I get where, when you're in an agitated state and somebody tells you to breathe, you're going to tell them to F off because you don't want to hear that stuff, because it just feels more safe to be in that state. That's why you don't learn how to escape a burning house when it's on fire. You use these tools when you're in a safe space so that when there's activation, you can remember where you can bring yourself back to. So that's why it's so important to do this several times. That's why I say a mindful moment, that you can do this once an hour. And it was only 2 minutes at most that I brought you into. It may have felt very longer for other people, yet it was 2 minutes. You can do that on the toilet. You can do that while you're doing the dishes. You can do that while you park and sit in your car before you have to go pick up the kids from school or daycare, or even enter in the room to the house to start doing supper. Just doing those small transitions to help regulate and process, what am I actually feeling? What's really internally that I haven't been able to validate and see for myself? I've just been activated, yet never giving myself a moment to process and validate what is the activation.
Yeah, exactly. And it's like that classic thing when someone's freaking out and someone says to you, relax. You're like, relax! That's not going to happen right now. But sometimes it's nice to have someone on the outside that understands it too, because when we're in the thick of it, I know we touched upon this before we started recording, when you're in the thick of something, it's hard to see out the other side, whereas other people outside of us can help us or support us. I want to say more than help, but support us through that moment so that it doesn't feel as big. It doesn't feel as shaking to our nervous system. I just had the image of like us trying to break down through that. And as we start to finish our time together, NatNat, I asked the guests that come on the show, if you could heal or change something in the world, what would it be?
That there's more kindness towards self. My one sentence I leave with everybody is remember to be kind to yourself. But in actuality, I'm saying it to myself. The reminders.
100%. Sometimes we get, I know for me when I channel, sometimes I get messages and I was like, oh, this is for both of us. This is for you and for me. And as much as, it's just we need to hear things sometimes again. Yeah.
The reminders, and that's why it's called a practice. There's no arriving, and the expert isn't the reason why some people are experts is because it's a way of being. This is what they do all the time, and they're teaching you that this is the way of being. A lot of times when people are around me, if there's like a chaos or something going on, they're like, I don't know how you're so level headed. It's like, well, I'm grounded in my breath right now. That's why you're not seeing that. It's like, big breath in, okay, slowly release it, and really feel and open up and stop the constriction and all that. Yet, being really grounded in that breath has developed so many tools for myself. And, life has, like, this past decade, life has given me some pretty challenging lessons and life experiences so that when I walk and I talk my talk, it's like I'm actually living it. It's not some theory or philosophy that I'm speaking on. It's something that I've actually lived through, and I know how it can help, navigate those tsunamis of life. And, when life shows up and it goes totally upside down from what you had planned or expected, it's like, okay, how do I stabilize in this instability and really gather myself so that I don't go away and mess things up even more? Like really trust in that guidance of asking, what is this teaching me? Not why is this happening to me? What is this teaching me?
Yeah. My other favorite is if you can't see the lesson or you can't understand why it's for you, is I'll just say thank you for the good I cannot see. Because sometimes later you'll go look back on it and say, that's why, but
That's a beautiful mantra, yeah.
yeah. I don't know who I heard it off or what it was from, but the beautiful example was, and it happened to me one morning. I was leaving for work and my key wouldn't get out of the door. It was completely stuck in the door. Like a good 10 minutes, I could not get the key out of the door and I couldn't go because my car keys were attached to my house keys. So I'm there and I just stood there and I'm like, all right, universe, clearly you don't want me leaving just yet. Thank you for the good I cannot see. And then my key just came out of the door. And I don't know, maybe I missed a car accident. Maybe I didn't, get, it could have been something bigger. Maybe I didn't, something else happened where if I was on the road, so I always just say thank you for the good I cannot see because who knows? Who knows why? Yeah,
And
they do.
it's that surrender. It's that surrender because when we get frantic, we don't realize it builds and builds and we forget to like pause. Take a pause. Let it wipe off so that you're not just building on that frustration and then that lens is there. So, yeah, there's so many instances that we can do that. But yeah, really that is a really good mantra of regulating yourself in that moment. Because when we are not in control and things are fumbling and we're late, especially when time is tethered to it and the world, oh boy, we can really spiral because that's so ingrained in our identity and in finances and our safety and everything else. So yeah, that it gets it's a lot of things we have to navigate as humans, I tell you.
100%.
But it's just being honest. This isn't about perfection. Like when sometimes people like they have me on a pedestal and I'm like, I'm just as human, eh? I say my F bombs. I like spin out. I tell people off sometimes because I'm dysregulated and it doesn't happen so often, yet it's still there. Like it's still being able to navigate as a human and allow there to be an integration of human and spiritual together, not one or the other. I am not holier than thou.
And this is the thing, we are all equals. We're just all at different parts, different sections of our journey. And,
Exactly.
this is the beautiful thing, like you said, about being human.
Yeah.
And if people want to find you, NatNat, or come and work with you or check out your podcast, where's the best places that they can go?
LiftOneSelf.com. So that's LiftOneself.com. They can book a free consultation call with me. I have my podcast link. I have my social media where I leave things. I also have some free gifts on the website. And I also have a course called Emotional Sobriety, where I help people to understand more about their emotions and not just the main sadness, anger, or fear, that we go deeper of finding out, what are some authentic emotions that have been suppressed, because anger is the bodyguard, which people evilize anger rather than question, well, what is it trying to protect? What doesn't feel safe to be seen in the moment and does not have language and cannot be articulated?
Yeah, so beautiful. And I talk about this all the time. I'm like, anger is just there, letting us know there's a feeling and we need to meet it with the same energy. Not like, oh, hang on, put my mask on. I'm so angry right now. That's not going to shift anything. It's, and like you said, exactly, emotions are there to let us know that something isn't aligned with our system. And the
Yeah,
more
it's
we
information.
and the more we suppress it, the more we end up in dis-ease and end up in disease, and that's that's our body just letting us know things aren't okay.
Yeah. This has been a very healing conversation for me. As I mentioned, I'm just coming out of a crisis. So, hearing my own language and seeing how I actually applied it with what I just experienced and the feedback that I've heard from other professionals around me, and just shocked, like, I'm like, how are you doing this? Just is reminding me of why it's necessary to develop your tools, because life, you may think, sometimes with healing that you arrive somewhere and, oh, you'll be able to weather out anything. And then life hits you with some more bigger challenges. And it's like, are you still using the tools? Because sometimes we think we don't need the tools anymore. And it's like, no, 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 you still need them to navigate through. So this has been a very healing and enriching and a very playful conversation. So thank you for what you're bringing in the podcast world. It's truly, truly needed.
Thank you for being you, NatNat, and showing up and doing what you're doing with people. It's so beautiful because, yes, emotional sobriety is definitely needed. And like you said, understanding to have the tools in your toolkit. So when you do go in crisis, it's not like you're, you're like, oh, hang on. Hang on, I've been doing this for days, years, months. I can do that. I can handle this. But I'll make sure to pop all your details in the show notes as well. If anyone's resonating with this conversation, please follow myself or NatNat, because we always love having people in our spaces who are inspired by our work. And feel free to like, subscribe, or share. So until the next episode, thank you so much. And thank you again, NatNat, for sharing all your beautiful mindful moment, but also all your beautiful insights.
Thank you. Remember to be kind to yourself.
My virtual obsession, my romantic thriller, is now available on Amazon and other online retailers. This book explores the intersection of loneliness, love, and how chasing perfection through technology can lead to fantasy and reality colliding. My virtual obsession out now.
Thank you for listening to Willow Healing Matters, the podcast. We have so much love and gratitude that you have taken the time out of your day to empower you on your healing journey. The views shared by the person being interviewed might not necessarily reflect that of the host and should be used at your own discernment. Trust what resonates for you and follow your heart and soul guidance. If you have any underlying medical conditions or mental health issues, please consult with your healthcare provider before pursuing any of the recommendations. Likewise, you can always contact the person being interviewed to find out more information. This can be found in the show notes. Remember to activate, align, heal, empower, and find love in everything that you do.